Do you ever feel like the world is just moving too fast these days? Like everything is rushed, from the news on TV to the cars flying past you on the road. Even the way people talk seems faster. Maybe you've even caught yourself wondering, why does everything feel so loud and hurried now? You're not alone in that feeling. As we get older, it's completely natural to crave a different pace, something gentler, more peaceful, something that feels more like life. And that brings us to something that's quietly becoming more popular, especially among folks who've seen a few more seasons of life: slow living. Now, I know that might sound a little odd at first. Slow living? What is that? Just sitting around doing nothing? Absolutely not. Slow living doesn't mean being inactive or unproductive or bored. It means being present. It means choosing to live each day with intention. It means taking a deep breath and realizing that there's still so much beauty to enjoy in this world, and that you don't have to chase after it to feel it. So today, I want to invite you into this gentle idea. We're going to talk about what slow living really means, especially for folks who are 60 or older. We'll look at how it can help reduce stress, improve sleep, deepen relationships, and even make everyday moments feel more joyful. Not with fancy ideas or big lifestyle changes, but with small, real things you can start doing right away. Let's begin with something simple: noticing. I mean, really noticing. Have you ever sat outside in the early morning with a cup of coffee or tea and just listened? Not scrolled through your phone or had the TV on in the background, but really listened? The birds, the breeze, the quiet hum of life around you. That right there, that's slow living. That one quiet moment where you feel grounded, at peace, connected. It doesn't ask for much, just your attention. A lot of us grew up in a time when hard work, being busy, and pushing through were signs of success. You worked full-time jobs, raised families, managed households. There was always something to do. So it makes sense that now, when you finally have more time, you might feel a little restless. Like if you're not doing something productive, you're wasting time. But here's the truth: rest is productive. Peace is productive. Joy is productive. Not in the traditional sense, but in the way it feeds your soul and keeps you well. One of the best ways to welcome slow living into your life is by creating daily rituals. Not routines that feel like chores, but gentle, enjoyable moments that give structure to your day. It could be something as simple as making a little ceremony out of breakfast. Maybe you slice up some fresh fruit, make a pot of coffee instead of grabbing instant, sit at the table instead of in front of the TV. No rushing, no multitasking, just being present for that one small part of the day. These rituals don't have to be elaborate. They just have to be intentional. When you start building your days around these little anchors, you may notice something unexpected. Your mind slows down, too. Worries don't feel quite as urgent. The noise of the world doesn't feel so loud. You begin to feel more in control, even if nothing in your life has really changed, just your approach. Now let's talk about time. Not the ticking clock kind of time, but your relationship with it. When we were younger, time often felt like a race. Get the kids to school, get to work, get dinner on the table, get to bed so we can do it all over again. That pace becomes a habit. But now, you don't have to run anymore. You've earned the right to walk, to meander, to pause. And yet, that habit of rushing doesn't always leave us so easily. You might find yourself hurrying through a grocery store trip or a phone call for no real reason. Slow living asks, why are we rushing? What would happen if you took your time? Smiled at the cashier, spent an extra minute chatting with a neighbor, took the scenic route home, just because. One viewer once wrote to us and said, I realized I was hurrying through dinner every night, even though I live alone and had nowhere else to be. I wasn't even tasting my food. That hit home for a lot of people. We get so used to rushing, we forget how to slow down. But once you start, it's like finding a new gear you didn't even know your life had. Now, I want to bring up something else that's really important here: the way slow living can affect our relationships. As we get older, some of the people we love are no longer with us. Others might live far away. Social circles may shrink, and it can feel lonely sometimes. That's just the truth of it. But slow living invites us to deepen the relationships we still have, even if there aren't as many of them. Instead of surface-level chats, it encourages real conversations. Asking your friend not just how they're doing, but how their heart is. Calling a grandchild not just to check in, but to really listen to the details of their day. Writing a letter, or even a simple card, just because. These small gestures, they matter. They're acts of love, and presence and connection. And let's not forget your relationship with yourself. Slow living isn't just about the world around you. It's also about how you treat you. When was the last time you did something just because it made you happy? Not because it was useful or practical or helped someone else, but just because it lit up your spirit? Maybe it's a walk in the park without any destination in mind. Maybe it's pulling out those watercolors you haven't touched in years. Or baking something just for the smell of it filling the house. These things may sound small, but they feed your joy. And joy is what makes life feel rich, no matter how old you are. I once met a woman in her 70s who told me, "I used to think I had to stay busy to feel valuable, but I'm learning that I'm allowed to just be. That's enough." And that, to me, is the heart of slow living. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You've already done so much. Now is your time to savor what's here. Now that we've touched on the importance of presence, intention, and slowing the pace of your day, let's continue this journey together by looking a bit deeper into how we bring these ideas into the middle of everyday life. Because while it's lovely to talk about slowing down, living intentionally, and finding peace, the real question is, how do we actually do it in the middle of real life? With bills to pay, doctor's appointments, family to check in on, and the occasional ache or pain that comes with getting older, it's not always easy to shift gears. But here's the good news. It doesn't take a dramatic change to start feeling the difference. Often, it begins with something as simple as how we wake up in the morning. Think about the first few moments of your day. Do you wake up and instantly reach for your phone, check the news, or start running through your to-do list in your head? Or do you take a breath, stretch a little, feel the warmth of the blanket, the light creeping through the window? That pause, that little breath between sleeping and starting your day, can be powerful. When you choose to start your morning with calm instead of chaos, it sets a gentler tone for everything that follows. You could even create a little morning ritual that's just for you. Maybe it's lighting a candle, reading a few lines from a book that makes you feel good, listening to music you love, or just stepping outside and letting the morning air touch your skin. These small choices tell your brain, I'm not in a rush. I'm safe. I can move through this day with peace. And as the day moves forward, slow living gently reminds you to stay aware of how you're moving through it. One of the simplest practices that can help is single tasking. We live in a world that praises multitasking. Watching TV while scrolling your phone, eating lunch while checking emails, talking on the phone while folding laundry. But multitasking actually wears our brain out faster. It creates a sense of mental noise, like there's a radio playing in the background that never quite turns off. When you focus on doing just one thing at a time, something beautiful happens. You notice more. You enjoy more. And, strangely enough, things often feel easier. Washing the dishes becomes a quiet moment of reflection. Watering the garden becomes a sensory experience. The feel of the soil, the sound of water, the sight of green. Even something like folding clothes becomes a little more soothing when you're fully there with it. And for those who live alone, this can be especially healing. Being present with daily tasks adds a sense of rhythm and comfort. You're not just filling time, you're living it. You're giving yourself the gift of being right here, in this moment, with no need to rush to the next. Now, let's talk about rest. Not just physical rest, like napping or going to bed early, though those are certainly important, but deeper rest, emotional rest, mental rest. You see, part of slow living is recognizing that our minds need quiet, too. And in today's world, quiet can be hard to come by. So what can help? Nature is one of the most powerful tools we have. Simply spending time outside, even if it's just sitting on the porch, walking around the block, or tending to a few plants, has been shown to reduce stress, lower blood pressure, and even improve mood. There's something ancient and wise about the natural world. Trees don't hurry. Clouds don't rush. Birds don't worry about schedules. And when we spend time in that space, it helps remind us that it's okay to slow down, too. Another tool is mindfulness. And don't worry, you don't need to sit cross-legged on a cushion or chant anything, unless you wanna. Mindfulness can be as simple as paying attention to your breath for a few moments. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Notice how the air feels. Notice how your body softens with each breath. Even just a few breaths like this during the day can calm your nervous system and bring you back to the present. Some people find that writing things down helps. Keeping a small notebook where you jot down 3 things you're grateful for each evening. A warm cup of tea, a call from an old friend, a sunset that made you pause. These little reflections can shift your entire mindset. It's not about ignoring the hard parts of life. It's about remembering that there's still beauty, even in small doses, every single day. And speaking of beauty, let's not forget joy. Joy is not just for the young. In fact, many people find that as they age, joy becomes deeper, richer, more meaningful. But sometimes we need to make space for it to return. One way to do this is by reconnecting with what once brought us joy. Maybe a hobby we used to love, a place that made us feel alive, or even a memory that sparks laughter. I knew a gentleman who used to play harmonica when he was younger, but hadn't touched it in over 30 years. One day, he picked it up again, just for fun. Within weeks, he was playing little tunes every morning, smiling more, even standing a little straighter. That's the magic of joy. It wakes up something inside us that may have gone quiet, but it's never really gone. You might be thinking, well, that's nice, but I've got responsibilities. I still take care of the house. I watch the grandkids. I help out neighbors. I don't have time to sit around and smell the roses. And you're right, life still asks things of us. But slow living doesn't mean you stop being helpful or engaged. It simply means you learn to move through those responsibilities with a calmer, more centered spirit. You don't need to overhaul your schedule. You just need to weave a little more intention into it. Maybe it's saying no to things that don't bring you peace. Maybe it's taking 5 minutes for yourself before you help everyone else. Maybe it's just being kind to yourself when things don't go as planned. Because part of slow living is letting go of the pressure to always have everything perfect. Your house doesn't need to be spotless. Your day doesn't need to be packed. You don't need to be doing something useful every minute. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to just be. And what's beautiful is that when you give yourself that permission, you might find that you actually have more to give to others. More patience, more kindness, more presence. Because you're not running on empty anymore. You're living from a place of fullness, of peace. So the question becomes not, what do I need to do today, but how do I want to feel today? Calm, joyful, connected? Then you start choosing things that support that feeling, even if they're small things. That's the heart of slow living. And it's not something you have to master all at once. It's a way of life that you grow into. A path you walk, a little more gently each day. So let's keep walking together. And as we keep walking, gently, slowly, and with more awareness, something begins to change. Life feels less like something that's rushing past us and more like something we're living with. We start to notice the light through the trees. The way someone's laughter makes our heart lift. The quiet satisfaction of sitting down after a long day and just resting. This way of living doesn't erase the challenges that come with getting older, but it does soften them. When we move slower, we tend to carry less stress in our shoulders, less worry in our minds. We're no longer trying to catch up to a world that seems to be speeding by. We're choosing our own pace, a pace that feels right for us. Now let's talk about relationships, because that's another part of life that truly blossoms when we slow down. So many people say that after 60, friendships can either deepen or drift apart. And one big reason they drift is simply because we get too busy or too tired, or maybe even a little withdrawn. But when you slow down and make space for conversation, for truly being with someone, you'll be amazed at how quickly connection returns. You don't need to plan a big event or a fancy get-together. It can be a short phone call where you ask, "How are you really doing?" A handwritten note you send in the mail, a walk shared with a neighbor. These small acts of connection, when done slowly and with presence, often mean more than any grand gesture. And for those with partners or spouses, slowing down can breathe new life into a long relationship. When was the last time you really looked into each other's eyes during a conversation? Or shared a quiet cup of coffee without distractions? Sometimes, love deepens not through big adventures, but through peaceful, everyday moments. Even when relationships are hard, slow living can help. If you're feeling distant from someone you care about, maybe an adult child, an old friend, or a sibling, sometimes the best thing you can do is slow your reactions. Instead of rushing to defend yourself or fix something, just listen. Just be there. You don't have to solve everything. Often, presence alone is healing. But perhaps the most important relationship of all is the one you have with yourself. And slow living invites you to truly reconnect with who you are now. Not who you were at 25 or 40 or even 60, but who you are today. Because you're still becoming. You're still growing. You're still allowed to explore new parts of yourself, to let go of old roles, to discover what brings you peace and joy now. Maybe you were always the caregiver, always putting others first. And now, in this season, you're learning how to care for yourself. Or maybe you used to be the busy one, the fixer, the planner, and now you're learning to trust that things can unfold naturally, even without your constant effort. These are powerful shifts. They take courage, but they also bring a deep sense of relief. You don't have to carry it all anymore. Sometimes, people fear that slowing down means becoming irrelevant, that if they're not doing as much, they're not worth as much. But let me tell you something from the heart. Your value isn't in how busy you are. It's not in how much you get done. Your value is in your presence, in your wisdom, in your stories, in your gentleness, in your laughter, in the way you still show up, even when life gets hard. That presence is a gift to the people around you and to yourself. When you slow down, you begin to notice that even the simplest parts of your day can hold beauty. Making your bed in the morning, peeling fruit at the kitchen table, watching a bird land on the windowsill. These moments are easy to overlook when we're rushing. But when we pause, when we breathe, we see that they are life itself. And that's the core of all this. Slow living isn't about doing less just for the sake of it. It's about experiencing more peace, more connection, more meaning. It's about trading in the pressure to keep up for the freedom to be fully here. So if you've been feeling like time is slipping through your fingers, like the days go by too fast, or like you're constantly chasing something you can't quite catch, maybe it's time to stop chasing. Maybe it's time to stand still, just for a while, and let the beauty of life come to you. You might be surprised at what you find. Maybe it's the sound of the wind through the trees, or the way your grandchild's hand feels in yours, or a sudden memory from long ago that makes you smile. Maybe it's just a quiet feeling in your chest, like everything is okay, right here, right now. And if you're thinking, well, I don't know where to start, just begin with one moment, one breath, one act of kindness toward yourself. Take a little walk without a destination. Sip your tea a little slower. Put on your favorite old song and let yourself sway to it in the kitchen. These are not silly things. These are soul-nourishing things. And you deserve every one of them. Before we wrap up, I want to say this. Life after 60 is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a beautiful new chapter. One where you get to decide how you want to feel, how you want to spend your time, what matters most to you. And when you choose to slow down, you give yourself the gift of living that chapter with presence, with intention, and with joy. If anything in today's video spoke to your heart, I'd love to hear about it. Feel free to share your thoughts, your stories, or even your questions in the comments below. You never know who you might inspire just by sharing a little bit of your own journey. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. It really helps support the channel and lets me know you'd like more content like this. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on future videos about living well, aging gracefully, and finding joy in every season of life. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope it brought a bit of peace, a bit of inspiration, and a reminder that your life is still full of beauty, maybe now more than ever. Take good care of yourself. Be gentle, be curious, and always remember, it's never too late to slow down and rediscover how beautiful life still is. Wishing you a joyful and healthy life at every age. See you next time.